Hello everybody, it's Aaron. Welcome to another episode of Feed the Beast. As you can see, I set up the assembly table. I've been using it to make the processors for the ME storage network. I didn't realize how many of these things I was going to have to make. You see, I have a ton of them down here just because. They're a little cheaper in the assembly table, but it takes a lot more power. And it's just less of a hassle because you don't have to use that stupid knife. You just put your things in here, you select it, and then, I have mine hooked up to a chest, so they all end up over here. First thing, who has a full biofuel tank? We do. I've been teasing Sam about it because he started biofuel before I did. And I have surpassed him. Though I don't run a quarry constantly, I give it a break every once in a while. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I have set some things up, and we're going to get into it right now. I have put a crafting monitor over here, which we cannot communicate with because the controller is on my hotbar. I have a terminal here, I have an interface right here, and I have an encoded pattern that didn't actually encode with anything, so it's now a decoration. I made a little server room, which we'll go into momentarily, and I set this up like I said I was. I've got 2 redstone energy cells. This one feeds this one, and when it's empty, the engines kick on. I do need to make a couple more engines. Probably 6 more. I have room for 6 more, so I'll make 6 more. And then we shouldn't have to worry about running out of power. I'm about ready to start industrial craft. For me, since this is it's kind of a computery mod, you don't typically run stuff in your server room off of combustion engines unless your electricity goes out. So I feel like it's kind of weird. So I want to get into the industrial craft power. And I'll probably use the energy bridge initially until I can make solar power. And then use solar for all of this stuff. But here's a server room. That's it. One ME disk, or one ME drive rather. I do have some disks in here. I pre-formatted a couple for gems and ores. And this one is the cobble gravel dirt one. And then these other ones are just random things. I think these are going to run out of types before they actually run out of storage space. From my understanding, what I've seen today messing with this, the way the thing writes to the disks, these 2 are pre-formatted. So this one is for ores. All the ores are going to go onto this disk until it fills up, and then it'll move on to the next available disk. Same thing with the gems. It's gems in redstone and nickelite. They will all go on this disk until it's full, and then they'll move on to the next one. And I don't know if it reads down the left and then down the right, or left, right, left, right, left, right. You think it would do left, right, but I can't verify that. The ones that aren't pre-formatted, like I said, they're going to fill up with 63 types before they run out of bytes. So the controller goes here. The conduit goes to the back of it, and then there's an ME cable that runs under the floor here. Actually runs all the way across to the terminal and stuff on the other side of that wall. And then the cable branches out to the auto crafting thing, which isn't actually a thing yet. You have to build the frame out of these blocks. I forget what they're called. I can tell you. Where do they go? This is it. Assembler containment wall has to be the frame, and then you fill it in with the heat vents, and then inside you put the crafting CPU and the assembler thing, pattern provider, that's what it is. So I have made 5 pattern providers and 4 CPUs, and you cannot right click the CPU, but you can right click the pattern provider. It looks like I can put patterns in it right now. I believe you have to have the pattern provider. CPUs are optional, so if you make a 3x3x3, you put a pattern provider. The CPUs just make it faster, and the pattern provider, since I have 5 of them, when this thing makes, if we right click it, you see we have 5 pages of things that we can add. And once I hook this up to the network, I want to see how much energy it draws. Right now we're using 19 units, which is 4 MJ. It's 5 MJ and 2 EU per unit. No, 5 units per MJ, 2 units per EU. That's what I mean, wrong way. Somebody put that in a comment, so thank you for that. I actually tested on Sam's after the episode, and I came pretty close. So that was around 20, and now we're around 30. So it does increase MJ a little bit, and I believe the more disks you have in your ME drive, the more power it uses also, and then it uses so many units of energy to transfer something across the network. I think it's 1 unit per item. So now we can come over here to our terminal, and we can see everything that's in here now. I do have circuits, cable, and rebats because I actually made the patterns. And we'll go make one in a second. I have an interface set up over here, and the router actually will put stuff in it. And the reason is because I have a barrel right there that connects this interface to all of these barrels. So anything that comes through the sorting system, right now the sorting machines are only set up to forward through the quarry items. But now, since there's a place for all the other items to go, we can just let it do its thing. The only problem with this is, say copper comes through, you know, the router's not necessarily going to put the copper in this barrel. It might put it right here, or it might put it in the network storage system. But that's fine. I'm just kind of using these. I'm going to leave them here as kind of a fail-safe because I still don't trust the thing. But for instance, if we put one of these blocks in here, figures, it went to that thing. Let's put our ME cable in there. That is going to go to the interface. You saw the particle effect. And now, here's our ME cable. So these are kind of going to work together for a while until I feel comfortable enough to switch over completely. So right now I've got all of this stuff in here. I'm going to take the plunge. I'm just going to turn this thing on so that it sorts everything. I just passed the mode. There it goes. It's pulling it all. It is going to take a second to go through the tube system and actually get to the router. Can never get through there. And then we should see the little particle effects shoot across to the interface because they cannot go anywhere else. So if we look in here, we can see the items are filling up. There's our tesseract, our ferrous ore. Our iridium may or may not have gone here because I have a barrel for it. It looks like it did go to the barrel. Yeah, I have 6 total. So that is how the storage is going to work until this thing fills up, at which point the router will probably jam. What are you going to do? So I've already made these patterns. How I messed up on the one, I don't really have anything to make. Let's make one for bread. I'll just demonstrate. I'm not actually going to make it because I already wasted one a few minutes ago. But let's say you put your recipe here and you see your bread right there. I actually messed up and I put the encoder right there, and then I tried to encode it, and I ended up with one that didn't work. So if you do that, make sure that this is not blank, and make sure it does not contain something other than what the recipe actually is, or it will render your pattern useless. It won't let you put it in here, or it won't let you do anything with it. I don't believe you can reformat it. You're screwed. That's just the breaks. So I've made one for piston, copper cable, battery, and circuit. And by the way, if you hold shift, it'll actually show you the item, which is pretty awesome because it's kind of a pain to have to mouse over to see what it is. So the cool thing about this, in my opinion, I made those because I'm ready to start IC, and I hate crafting circuits and batteries and stuff, and copper cable. So we have five copper cable in here. Let's get rid of the circuit. We don't have enough copper cable to make the circuit. If I click craft on that, I'll click 1. It'll actually make 6 copper cables and then make the circuit, as long as I have the plan in there for the copper cable. So that's awesome. So I don't have to make any more copper cables. I just put the raw materials in there. If I need a circuit, bam. If that's what I need to do. I need to make the circuit, the recipe for the advanced circuit. I never remember what it is. I'm pretty sure it's 2 glowstone, 2 lapis, and 4 redstone. But I'm going to bring 4 of each. So I think it's like this. Maybe glowstone on the sides and lapis up and down. Indeed. So let's put a pattern in there. We'll encode it. Now we have our advanced circuit pattern. So I don't have to make any more advanced circuits ever again. It's awesome. There are no circuits in here right now. We'll go ahead and get rid of the copper cable. And if I want one of these, I better put the ingredients in there. If I want one of those, I just click craft. I want one. Bam, there it is. It made the copper, it made the circuit, and then it put it all together. So that's awesome. That's the coolest thing ever. You can do a lot of other cool things with this. I want to eventually, I'm going to have to work on this. I want to set up a pulverizer and a powered furnace and one of these interfaces, and tell it that if I need glass, that it should send cobblestone to the pulverizer and then, you know, pulverize and cook and then bring it back. I did say send cobble to the pulverizer, right? Yeah. Or if I need sand or whatever. It may be a waste of a pattern, but it's worth it because I never have enough sand or glass, and this stuff takes a surprising amount of glass. I want to put some monitors up here. It's only one. This monitor, it's actually pretty easy to make. But it takes a basic processor like everything else. But it'll just tell you, you know, how many of like one item you have in there. So I just kind of want to be able to see it at a glance. I think you can click them and have it give you that item too, or a stack of it. I'm not really sure about that. But these barrels are going to go away, and then this wall is going to be all of the basalt paved stones, with the exception of where the machines, or not the machines, but where the interfaces to the network go. And there's my messed up pattern. Those things aren't cheap either. They're not really expensive, but I mean, what a waste. So, not really sure where I need to dive into industrial craft because I haven't really messed with Greg Tech at all. So I'm going to have to make the industrial blast furnace, the industrial grinder, centrifuge, all that stuff. And I'm not sure what I need to make to get the other things I need to make. So that is going to be a bit of a learning curve for me. But I eventually want to get this thing running on whatever solar panel is MV. I think it's that one. This one's probably, I think this one's definitely 1. That's probably 8. This one maybe 64, I'm not sure, and I don't know about that one. I was hoping it would tell me if I moused over it, but it doesn't tell me anything. So, no big deal, but I want to get to that eventually. So you see, we're still writing everything to this disk. These other 3 haven't even been touched yet. I want to make a 64K. It's a pain. I just want you to see this recipe. It takes this thing, which takes all of these things. This is like, to me, this is like the Greg Tech thing in applied energistics, because it just takes so many damn steps to make that thing. So I'm probably about out of time. Well, that's only 16 minutes. We have some time, but I really don't have anything else that I want to do. There's an IO thing. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's an ME item. The IO port. This thing is pretty cool. Wow, that's why. Yeah, okay. You can copy a disk to the network, or you can copy items from the network to your disk. The storage bus, I actually played around with this a little. I hooked it up to, Sam has one. I hooked it up to his network, and I hooked it up to a barrel. It treated the barrel just like the disk, and it worked on every side of it. It extracted and put stuff into the barrel on the side or on the bottom. It didn't really matter what side it was on. The only thing I could not determine was which item went in the barrel. If you already have it preset, no big deal. But otherwise, kind of a pain. Actually, how much of a pain is that to make? I can make one of these real quick. Let's make one and we'll look at it. I just need some of the stuff. What's that one? That one's the storage bus. And if you have a bunch of these, it's going to draw a lot of power. So I don't think I have redstone in there, but okay. I think I can remember that. But I need one of these, and I think it was like that. Don't have enough iron. This is one of those applied energistics things that I need to make a pattern for, so I don't have to craft one every time I need one. Alright, so conversion matrix, and then glass, and one of these. I don't even remember how that damn thing went. Why don't I just do it the easy way? I always have to make it harder than it is. It's weird because it's one of those odd recipes. Alright, and then what was it? 3 iron and just the cable. And this cable, you end up using a lot of this cable. And it's not that expensive, but it takes a lot of glass. So there's a storage bus. We do not have any of this in the network. If we look at it right now, what's it called? Crystal. All we have is the quartz. So we put that on there. It's facing it. We can hook it up to anything. Look at that, 386 of them. I can take it out and I can put it in. The only thing is this, it draws extra power. I don't know how much. Not that much, maybe 1 or 2 units. But if you have a bunch of them, like if I was thinking about doing this for multiple barrels. If I made one for every barrel, um, that would be roughly, you know, 50 to 60 more energy units that are totally unnecessary when I could just put the items on one of the drives. And actually what I really need to do is, if I could guarantee that this would pull and actually put it on a drive, I may be able to make that input-output thing and put all these on one disk and use that to empty the barrel. I think that's what I'll do. I don't know if I have time to do that right now, but let's see, what am I at? 21 minutes. I'll tell you what, I'm going to craft the thing, and then we'll come back and we'll hook it all up, and we'll see if it lets us do that. I have 11,000 coal. Okay. So I'm going to make that and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. The ME.io port. It actually isn't that bad. It takes 2 ME drives, but those things, they don't require any really intricate crafting as long as you have your basic processor. So let's put this thing on here. We need to grab a disk, and I'll just grab this one, and we'll see if all of that coal fits on one disk. It may or may not. Alright, so we put that there. We want to go from network to disk. I don't know if it'll let me pick what items go on there, so how about this? Let's take all of these out. So now when we look in our terminal, it should be empty except for coal and these things, which we don't have the items to craft. So we'll take one of these empty ones. We want to go network to disk. Right? And now we have no more coal. So all of our coal is now on a disk. It is no longer in this barrel. So that is absolutely fantastic. I was ready to get a wooden transport pipe and run some golden cobblestone pipe over to the router to have it put into the network, but that was a much easier way to do it. I'm glad I just thought of that. So now I'm just going to put all the disks back in here. I don't really care what order they go in. 2 of them are pre-formatted. That one is not. All of that coal went on there, and it took up a little over a quarter of the space on the disk. So actually, let me just move all my pre-formatted drives down here, and we'll put these up here. I might as well go ahead and pre-format that to coal since that's all that's on it, but I don't think I'm going to mess with that. So there we have it. I'm still looking for ways to make this better or cool things to do with it besides auto crafting, which, I mean, let's face it, that's really awesome. Yep, look at that. There's all our coal. Excellent. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know by all means. If you have any comments or questions, I'll do my best. I've only been playing around with this today, and I only really know as much as I have discovered while, just kind of jacking around with it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.